Today's reading comes from John chapter 11, verse 35. Jesus wept. Please rise and recite the prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Buenos dias. Buenos dias. How many of you guys know what you want to do for the rest of your life? That is absolutely astounding. How many of you know that at the age of 18, when I graduated high school, I could not speak Spanish? I left my high school career saying things like hola and buenas tardes. My Spanish abilities were not quite where they needed to be. I want to tell you about a risk that I took and how you guys should probably be finding what motivates you and the spark that will put you where you need to be. So in high school, I did take Spanish. I took 3-4 years of Spanish and I aced every single class. Kind of like I aced all of my math classes, but you may not talk to me about trigonometry or calc or stats because I don't remember much about them. My Spanish classes I took because for me they were easy, but it was in one ear and out the other, and I regurgitated it just for a test. I lived in Sturgis, Michigan, which is a very small community. And to show you how small this world is, there is a cadet on this campus who has been to Sturgis, Michigan. Stack. Have you been to Sturgis, Michigan? So we live in a very small world. Sturgis only has a population of maybe about 12 or 13,000. However, there is a military school right across the border in Indiana now called the House School. It's the one that my brothers kept telling me every year that my mom was going to send me to. Little did they know that I actually chose to come to a military school later on in life. So I had an opportunity after high school to go on a mission trip with the church. They were like, you know what, Justin, we really need you in your Spanish abilities because you had 4 years in Spanish. And me like, free trip to Mexico, let's go. And so, they took me on not really knowing what my Spanish abilities were, and I really found out when I got to Mexico how little I actually knew when the first task that they gave me was to go inside of a convenience store and to get a bottle of water. And it took me about 25 minutes to get a bottle of water because I did not know left from right or up from down in Spanish, let alone in a new culture, in a new setting that I've never been to. It really opened my eyes in the terms of I've always been surrounded my whole entire life by the Mexican population. Sturgis has a population of, like I said, 12, 13, and almost half of them at the time when I lived there and graduated from Sturgis were in fact Mexicans. It was a very heavily populated Latino area. So I've grown up around it, but I didn't know what it was like, where they were coming from, or why they were even in my city. Until I took that mission trip and it opened my eyes about, social injustice, about, wealth disparity that happens in other countries and sometimes happens here as well. I came back from Mexico a little bit changed and a little bit more interested and kind of hitting myself in the head, realizing that maybe I should have paid attention in my Spanish classes. Maybe I should have paid attention in all of my classes. So I started thinking that I just started at a community college and I realized, I'm going to continue on with Spanish. I actually jumped and went to Spanish 2 in a community college when I first started. I took 3, Spanish 4, and then they didn't offer anything higher than Spanish 5, and I told them that I wasn't going to have a semester without Spanish, so I went back. and took Spanish 1 after acing Spanish 2, 3, and 4, because I could still get the credit for it, and still do that. I walked into a grocery store in my hometown. Governments give out these coupons to women called WIC coupons. They're called for women, infants, and children. In my city, a lot of the women there were single mothers or they were extremely poor, and so they needed these coupons. And what it does is it gave them, kind of like food stamps, the ability to purchase diapers and formula for their children so their children didn't have to suffer or starve. The thing is that just like any bureaucratic nightmare, there are always stipulations with these coupons. And so if the woman in front of me at the cash register took the infant formula that was for the 13.9 ounces. The problem is that for the coupon, you had to get the exact 16.7 ounce in order to actually use it. And because she couldn't speak Spanish and the cash register lady had no empathy whatsoever for her, she began to yell at the mother in front of me holding her child. Yelling at her. Because she grabbed the wrong one, because she didn't understand, that maybe she thought that by speaking louder, that she would understand better. So much so that the child began to cry in the mother's arms. And I sat back there watching the whole thing, and the mother not understanding, but trying to reach out, trying to find some help. She also began to cry, so much so that she actually left without the infant formula and without the coupon to be able to purchase at a later date. And I did the most amazing thing that could ever happen. I did nothing. I did absolutely nothing. I watched it all. But the problem is, why did I do nothing? It's because my Spanish abilities at the time, I thought, were so bad that I couldn't even help her. I was embarrassed by the fact that I couldn't help her or couldn't communicate with her. Hindsight 2020 and being an adult now, it doesn't take anything for me to grab her by her hand and lead her over to the infant formula or run over and grab the can and come back, but I didn't think about it. That for me sparked my interest and my passion, not only to help people, but to learn Spanish. See, I had a really sweet gig in high school. I worked at a movie theater. I saw all the free movies I wanted. I got to bring all my friends for free. I got all the free popcorn and soda for me and all of my friends. And not to mention dates. It was probably the best job I could ever have in high school. So much so that they gave me a key to this place when I turned 16. Because I could then drive and I would come early and I would open up and start setting up. And then when I turned 18, the day I turned 18, they forced me to work and the owner said, "You are now the manager." So that way I had to start running projectors and counting cash. And he gave me quite a significant jump in salary. Comparatively, it was still a high school job. When I realized after that incident inside of the grocery store that I wanted to learn Spanish, I walked up to my boss and I quit the same day because there was an opening in a Mexican restaurant. Because of my drive, because of the spark, because I found something that I loved, I learned Spanish in just 9 months. I left that restaurant fluent. That same thing can be applied to whatever it is that you find interest in, whether it's mechanical engineering, whether it's nursing, whether it's business, anything. See, what you have to do in life is to find what you love, and when you find what you love, you'll do it well, and then you'll get to work at what you love for the rest of your life. So the benefits of taking that risk of joining a Mexican restaurant where I had food thrown at me every day, where I had people and angry customers because when I first began there, obviously I still couldn't speak Spanish. And so they were upset that I messed up their taco order or I brought them the wrong soda. After 9 months, the benefits of it were great. So I went and I transferred to a 4-year university. Out of my career, I took 17 Spanish courses in a university and aced every single one of them. I graduated with honors from my bachelor's degree. The same university suggested, "We don't want you to stop, we want you to continue. And if you continue, we are giving you a full ride scholarship to study your master's in Spanish literature. And on top of that, we'll give you a job here at the university teaching Spanish to help you, live in a nice apartment during your master's degree." taking risks and finding what you love, maybe you know it now. Maybe you haven't found it yet. I didn't find it until after high school. Find what motivates you, find your passion, and it will lead you to where you want to be, and it will lead you down a life that you love. Thank you.